The Air Force Plant 4 in West Fort Worth reportedly started operating on April 18, 1942, according to the Lockheed Martin website. The building process took less than a year to finish, and the facility needed a lot of lighting and air conditioning because it had no windows and needed to meet the mandated blackout conditions during wartime, which came to a monthly cost of $282,000 in today's money. Due to the emphasis on bombers in the 1940s and 1950s, the factory acquired a local moniker that has lasted to this day, the Bomber Plant. While some of the plants were still under construction in February 1942, production of the B-24 Liberator started. In the end, Fort Worth manufactured 2,743 B-24s. Additionally, the facility started building another bomber, the B-32 Dominator, toward the end of World War II. These four-engine bombers were all made in Fort Worth in a total quantity of 124. Fort Worth built nearly 400 B-36 Peacemakers, the first intercontinental bomber, in the late 1940s and early 1950s. The B-36's first flight took place in August 1946, and the Strategic Air Command received its first operational B-36 in June 1948. The B-36 JAWS 6, Pratt & Whitney R-43. 6.0 engines gave it a cruising speed of 230 miles per hour, while its four General Electric J-47 engines allowed it to reach a top speed of 435 miles per hour for short bursts of speed. Thus, the phrase, 6 turnings, 4 burning, nuclear or conventional bombs weighing 86,000 pounds may be carried by the Peacemaker. Although the B-36 was never utilized in battle, it was a significant deterrent to enemy aggressiveness until it was eventually phased out in 1958. The B-58 Hustlers was first put into production in the late 1950s. The four-engine delta-winged aircraft, which made its first flight on November 11, 1956, was the first bomber in history built to maintain supersonic speeds throughout its mission profile. Convair produced 116 B-58s, including 30 test and prototype models and 86 operational aircraft. Hustlers flew in the SAC between 1960 and 1970. The B-58 set 19 world records for speed and altitude, while also taking home 5 separate aviation medals. In 1970, the final B-58 was retired. During World War II, more than 30,000 people, or nearly 1 in 5 Fort Worth citizens, worked at Air Force Plant 4. The development and manufacture of the F-111, a supersonic tactical attack aircraft, started in the early 1960s. The USAF F-111A first flew in December 1964, and the first production aircraft was delivered to the USAF in 1967. Fort Worth manufactured a total of 564, earning the company a new moniker, the Fighter Factory. 566 F-111s total across all series were produced. The F-111 was known as the Aardvark informally, but the name wasn't given to it formally until it was retired in 1996. When employment at AF Plant 4 peaked in the 1960s, some 30,000 people were employed there, primarily helping with the development and construction of the F-111 and its variants. The RB-57F Canberra was a modest project created and constructed in Fort Worth during the 1960s. In fact, General Dynamics began converting 21 B-57 airframes, 4 of which were B-57 Sudis, into B-57Fs in 1963. This jet was a specially designed American strategic reconnaissance aircraft, Big Safari, a project of the Air Force. It was given to the Air Weather Service to conduct missions for atomic air sampling and weather reconnaissance, and there are still 3 in use by NASA. Early in the 1970s, the F-16's development was underway. The F-16 was initially created as an air superiority day fighter that was compact, light, affordable, and engineered for great performance and simple maintenance. With its streamlined blended wing body, fly-by-wire technology that kept the design stable, improved response time, and boosted agility, and upgraded cockpit. The F-16 did just that and proved to be a game-changer among fighter jets. The Fort Worth plant was a U.S. facility until the middle of the 1970s, an exclusive supplier to the Air Force. That changed with the F-16. The fighter was so inventive and effective that more than 4,500 of them were eventually constructed, 3,630 of which were in Fort Worth, for more than 25 countries. The F-16 production crew was able to deliver 30 jets per month at its highest production level in 1987. While there are still F-16s being produced today, the final one was delivered in September 2017. The plant's workforce had decreased to roughly 8,000 by the middle of the 1970s, as F-111 manufacturing came to an end and the F-16 was still being developed. However, the number increased again in the 1980s, reaching over 30,000 by 1986, largely for the F-16. The Fort Worth facility had to reinvent itself once more when the Cold War ended. The A-12 development program was canceled in 1991, which resulted in the loss of thousands of jobs, and F-16 manufacturing had slowed by the early 1990s. Both the facility and the Fort Worth community were going through a difficult time. Employees, however, sought out creative ways to bring in fresh business while utilizing current initiatives, which finally ensured the plant's survival in Fort Worth. Sales of the F-16 entered new regions in Asia and the Middle East. Before it was sent to Marietta for final assembly, the F-22 Raptor's mid-fuselage was constructed in Fort Worth under a contract. The world's most technologically advanced multi-role fighter, the F-35, has been substantially developed and produced in Fort Worth over the past 2 decades. Nearly 70 F-35s were produced in Fort Worth in 2017, and in 2019, that number increased to nearly 160. Over many decades, that number may surpass 4,000 aircraft. The F-35 supports more than 170,000 direct and indirect jobs across the country.